Hi everyone. So tonight I want to cover the track preset functionality of Cubase, at least the way I'm using it. I had a few people asking questions about the process, and I documented it in a long wall of text on VI control forum. But yeah, I think the video or at least a visual representation of how I'm using it could be beneficial for some. So there you go. Um, let's start with the template itself. So as you can see on screen right now, it's just an empty template with just a bunch of folders and group tracks and my reverbs, which are my FX channels. And that's pretty much it. I also have the tempo, signature, and video tracks. Um, so those are coming from my previous large template that had all the disabled tracks in Cubase. So that template used to weigh, I don't know, maybe close to a gigabyte of hard drive space. So that was quite quite heavy on hard drive space. And now if you check this one, um, sorry, this one, you see that it's not even 1 megabyte. So it's pretty slim, doesn't take that much hard drive space, and I really like that. So yeah, what I did is I started from the large template, saved each individual track as a track preset, and that made me grow my library slowly. And now I'm up to a point where I have close to 1500 instruments save as track preset. So the total is about 1.6 gigabyte of hard drive space. So that's much lighter because I have this space used once plus the 700K that you've just seen for the template. So it's pretty lightweight compared to the large disabled track template that I used to work with in the past, because the CPR was 1 gigabyte and each subsequent backup file was the same size, and that's for one project. And as soon as you get another project, then you duplicate that size again, and so on and so on. So let's get back to the track preset. Pretty simple. You just had a track, but instead of adding an instrument, you use a track preset, and that gets you to that screen, that loading screen. In my case, I also mapped it to my MIDI controller, so I just push a button and that same screen appears on the screen. From there, as you can see, there's several area where you can search for your instrument. It could be per category, per character, or you can even type the instrument you're looking for in the list. So right now, let's say that's the whole library, and let's say I'm searching for a boom. There you go. Or I could just go with, I don't know, something dark that is strings, and I don't know, that is acoustic. There you go. So that's my list, and then I just have to double click the instrument I want to load, and there you go. So as you've seen, it's not that long to load it, and in comparison, if I disable the track and I load it from there, it takes about the same time. So there's no real disadvantage of using a track preset versus enable disable track. The main difference is that you would have all your sample already, or all your tracks, sorry, already mapped in Cubase, while the track preset, I mean, you would search through that interface, but once you load it, everything gets recalled. That sample is probably not a good example, but let's go with let's go with a piano. Obviously, I need to remove those attributes, and let's go with something like which one I had some effects on it. Well, let's go with the Cinematic Studio and Natural. I'll see if I did something there. No. Okay, but let's try to create our own track preset. So it would retain everything regarding the EQ, everything regarding the insert, everything regarding the mixer, the pan, and the instrument itself. So whatever change you would do here, it would retain it. So let's do some change. Let's enable the spot, reduce the reverb, remove the key noise, and then, sorry for my accent, I am obviously not an English born person. I'm French, so there you go. And then had some, I don't know, let's go with a delay. 1 4 1 2 1. There you go. I have my delay and tweak a little bit more the EQ. And yeah, there you go. Oh, there you go. Let's go with the mixer, put it on the right. Alright, so let's say that I'm happy with this. Then I can save the track preset as an instrument. Now that screen is kind of incomplete from my opinion. So the upper side of the screen is, or the upper section, sorry, is where you would select where to save your instrument. So as you can notice, I organized my track preset per vendor first, and then I'm going through the library itself from that vendor, and then I can save within the folder itself. So the second section is the attributes. This is the metadata that you will link to the instrument itself, and that's the key part that allows you to easily search your instrument from that screen. If you don't set it up, or the least information you put there, the harder it will be to retrieve that instrument afterwards. So you can go with category, so in this case would be a piano, character, then you have tons of attributes that you can play with. So let's go with process, single, acoustic, quality, whatever. Let's go with that. The rating 1 to 5 star. Let's go with 3. The style, so you can have whatever you want, and then you can go even more detail with the subcategory and the substyle. Now you give it a name, just piano, and I would save it at the root, and that's it. It's saved. So if I want to delete that instrument and reload it again, then if I go here and I type just the piano, there you go, loading it, and voila, it's there. And if I looked at the properties of the instrument, everything is kept. The only thing that won't be kept is the send and the routing of the instrument. So that's a little bit of a downside. However, I'll show you a quick trick that I'm using. Is when I'm going in the mixer, let's pretend that both tracks are pianos, because right now it's a string and a piano, but let's pretend they are in the same family. What I would do is I would select the tracks, then I would go on QLink, enable this, and then whatever change I do on one track would replicate on all the other tracks. See? So I can set the basic parameter, if you see what I mean, and then I could unselect a track and then go specific for that track. So that's how I'm going around the fact that track preset aren't saving the route and the sends. Um, so it's a little bit of a bummer, but it's not that long to fix it. So we covered how to save a track preset and the template. Now let's go with the media bay. So this is quite similar to the track preset screen. The difference is that you have a little bit more information there. As you can see on the right, you have more details than just the ones that you were proposed in the save screen. And as you can see here, you can extend it even much further than what I'm using. In my case, I just added the plugin vendor so I can know which library it's from, and I had to add the album attribute which I'm using for the name of the library. I also use the comments because sometimes I'm adding some hints like this just to remember like how to best use that instrument. So what happened when you save a track preset like these three here, it kind of is incomplete. You have the basic information you save from the save screen, but then some other fields are just empty. That's because the save screen doesn't allow you to directly edit those attributes, so you have to come back here and complete the information. So in this case I would go with Cinematic Studio Series, and that's brass, and there you go. And then you can even double click here and type whatever you want, so that would be the new library. Once you have all your library set, then it's much easier to search through it. Now the tricky part. By default, you won't get just your sample like I do have right now in the screen. It would rather look something like this, and if I go here, like that. So you would have your instrument, but also a bunch of other track that there you go, like Rotrolog, Patch Up, that type of stuff that comes out of the box with Cubase, which I'm not really using on my end. So in order to keep it clean, what you would do is you would go here and uncheck everything that was checked, like that. So if I go back to my library, right now it still shows everything just because I'm on all media. But let's say I'm going back to the track preset folder on the instrument. You see, there's nothing anymore. So in order to get the library populated again, I would have to check this and check this one as well, because if I don't check it, it will just list me the selected folder. If I check this, then it will go through each subfolders. This is how I get the full list of my instruments. Obviously, you're not limited to just check the instrument folder under track preset, Steinberg, roaming app data within your user profile. But you could also add other folders, but in my case I'm just using the instrument aspect of the track preset, so there's no point of adding the rest. So once you have done this, what I would suggest you to do is to mark it as a favorite. Right now I can't do it because it's already there, but you would have the ability to add it as a favorite. Then you go back here and you check this, so it only shows the folder you've selected with all your libraries. I would also suggest you to increase this to, I don't know if the screen is too large, so let me reduce it a bit. I'm sorry, here. I would reduce it to, I would increase it, sorry, to 10,000, because by default I think it's only 1,000 instrument, something like that. So it's a little bit short in the, or a little bit limited in the quantity of instrument it would show. That being said, the other aspect that I didn't mention whether it's in the media bay or the load screen. Let's get back to the load screen. Is the previewer. That part. This is by default here, and if I go back to the media bay, this is on also by default. What is that? Is just a previewer that allows you to hear the sound before you actually load it, which is kind of true, but not really. And as you can see, it doesn't work super great with some libraries. Works better with others. Like if I go here, works better. And the reason why I'm not using it is just like if I click on another, well, that one is not that long. Oh well, you see it's still loading. I can't move my mouse. There you go. So what it does, it actually loads it in memory, just as if you would load the instrument. There you go. You just seen the loading screen. But it doesn't add it to your project. It just loads it in memory, so you can preview it. And then if you want to have it, you have to double click it again. Then it loads it for real and adds it to your project. So I'm not that of a fan of this. And if I disable the previewer, then as you can see, it's pretty instant to move from one instrument to another. Took me a while to figure this out, but it's that simple. So maybe you'll like it to preview it, but to me, like click on the instrument, wait for it to load and hear it, versus click on the instrument, actually load it in your project and hear it. It's about the same time. And if I don't like it, then I can just remove the track afterwards. But I feel it's much more make more sense that way. So let's just remove the preview here. Okay, so I'm good. And in the add preset, let's remove this as well. And oh, one last aspect. Some people might use the right window here, which is something that I don't use, but for some of you that are using it, you are able to go to, let's go to home. So you would go under user preset, track presets, VST instrument, and you would get that screen, which is similar to the add preset screen. But the thing is, you do end up with that awful preview. So, and I can't find how to disable this in that screen. So again, for me, since I don't like to have the preview, I'm not really using that screen. And plus, you can't drag and drop, you have to double click it again. So at that point, I'm about the same to just press my button on my MIDI controller and get to that screen and load it the same way. So that's pretty much what covers the track preset, at least in the way that I'm using it. Oh, the last aspect you can do is, let's go back to that screen that I don't like. You can also create multi-track preset. And the difference is that you would select multiple tracks like this and save it as a track preset. And what this does actually is to save as one instrument. When you would load actually that track preset, it would reload all the selected instrument at once. It won't be faster. It will just save you the effort of loading each individual instrument. So it's maybe useful when you have, I don't know, a small template, or you want to load a section of an orchestra or something like that. Instead of loading each individual part, you would just load the main section. In my case, I don't have one, so that's the reason it's not showing up, but that's how you can use it as well. And voila, that's about it, I think. If you have any other questions and about the process or what I'm doing, etc., feel free to post it in the comments below, and I'll try to answer as soon as possible. And just as a final word, I've been using that template or that way of working for almost a year now, I think. And I really don't look forward to get to another way of working. I mean, it's really the right balance for me. I used to work with a full template with disabled track, like with 1,000 tracks in it. I used to work as well with a mix of disabled track and Vienna Ensemble Pro MIDI tracks as what it's called, the rack track. It's the MIDI, and then you have to. It's been so long since I've used that. Yeah, you have to. I don't even remember how to add it, but basically you would add another instrument, another track. There you go. So I would add a contact instrument there, which would create a MIDI track associated with it. And so I use that as well. Actually, that's the first way of using it that I've experienced with. Regarding Vienna Ensemble Pro, I used it as part of a single computer, but also as part of slaves. So each method has pros and cons, but to me, the most flexible and the most functional for me is really that combo of the track presets and a small template like that. And the reason for me is just that I have a blank canvas and I don't feel limited into which instrument I would load. I would just go with whatever I have in my mind, search in my libraries and load one, and if I don't have the instrument I'm looking for, I would just load something that is close to it and design the instrument to tweak it and tweak it to the sound I'm looking for, and then I would save it as a track preset. And the main difference is that once the instrument is saved as a track preset, it's available right away for any other projects you would load. Whereas with the disabled track, you have to go back to your main template, add it there, but then it's not available to any of your other projects. If you want to have it, then you would have to go file import a track from projects, and in some cases, like it was for me, the project was so large that it took forever to load and to find the tracks you want and to load it, and sometimes it would even crash. So that useful for me. So there's other ways to work with templates. I know that some are using the track archive. I didn't really experiment that part, so it might be useful as well. But for me, I'm quite happy with the track preset and how it's working right now. If only Cubase, or not Cubase, but Steinberg could fix the import for the route and the sends, that would be the best case scenario. But for now, we just have to deal with the workaround I presented before. So there you go, track presets, at least the way I'm using it. So I hope you found it useful and enjoyable, and I'll see you next time. Take care, guys. Bye.